Okay, so we are back at the unit and back to work at the Porsche. So I've managed to get a rad pack, which I'm going to open up in a little bit. Hopefully that'll be all the correct radiators that I need. Check some of the numbers on there. They do seem to match. They're actually from a 2013 hybrid Cayenne, which would have been the non-plug-in hybrid version. So I am expecting there to be a couple of rads on there, or a couple of brackets that might be slightly different. Hopefully it's just an update on the actual product numbers, but that I'm gonna have to find out. It's about 1,300 quid from Lithuania. It was the only one I could actually find on eBay, but it turned up this morning, and yeah, we'll get it stripped out, we'll get the bonnet up and have a look at how close to it is. Fingers crossed most of the stuff's there. In terms of other bits and bobs that I've got for it now, so we've got a airbox and we've got the horn, which on that side got absolutely destroyed in the crash, and then we've also got the expansion tank there as well. So on mine it's just the little nipple there that snapped off, and yeah, that was annoying, but to be fair, I think it was something like 20 quid that. The horn was actually more expensive, and the horn was about 35. So yeah, all in all, I'm hoping it's going to be a pretty good day. The rad pack that I've actually got for this does even come with all the crash bars and everything, so another little bonus with that, and hopefully it means there's less for me to physically buy once this is all bolted on. But yeah, we'll drop all the coolant and anything else fluids wise that we need to get that hopefully bolted up today, and we'll be looking a little bit tidier, looking at getting to the point of basically starting to bolt things on now rather than pulling things apart. Right, so rad pack out and stripped, and now doing like a bit of a comparison to the one that I bought to the one that's come off my car. So the one on the left hand side here is off the original car, so it was pretty much as I suspected, which is the new plug-in system. I'm pretty sure this is part of the radiator cooling for the batteries, and you've got two radiators essentially on that one, whereas on the old hybrid system you just had the one coolant radiator there. But the only other difference that I can see as well is literally just a kink in the pipework here. So I think what I'm going to do for that oil rad is, just to be sure, and because that must have been done for some reason, is to swap that over just with this. I think it's literally just another bolt the other side of that. So I'll get that swapped over, and then I'll look to get part numbers off those two rads and the actual cowling itself that goes around it. And realistically I could just buy essentially one radiator and the cowling for it to sit in, and then that should be the rad pack complete in terms of everything else. So felt lucky with this, with it coming with the slam panel. I don't actually think there's anything wrong with my crash bar, if you like, other than the polystyrene foam section there that's split, but that's all swapped over. So in terms of the car itself, so I've literally just put this on just to kind of get it out of the way, and again it gives us another point of reference for knowing that the chassis legs are in the right place. That mounted perfectly, so no issues with that whatsoever. It's a bit of a bracket on this cooler here, which not too sure what that serves, but I'm hoping to be able to plastic weld that back together, because it's literally just the mounting point. There's not actually anything wrong with the radiator at all. In terms of further up, so damage there, so we have got on this side absolutely perfect. Obviously that wasn't really affected by the crash, but on this side we have knocked in and up a little bit, so that needs pulling, and we need to reference some measurements as well to make sure that's straight when we do that. So I'm going to leave all the rad pack off for the time being. This will be removed, the airbox and the coolant expansion tank will be removed. I have got the replacement parts for them there, but again, there's no point doing that yet until we've got this in the correct position, and then I'll put them together. While this is off as well, what I want to do, because the radiators were resting on these, I want to change this belt just in case. And as you can see, there's a bit of damage to this coolant pipe here, so I do want to get that replaced. It's not actually gone through, but I do want to get that replaced while we've got ease of access to where it is now. Other than that, can't see any damage that we wasn't necessarily aware of, so it's all looking pretty good then. So with the full extent of the damage confirmed, and it's not looking too bad at all, to be honest, really happy with that. I turned my attention then to the rad packs and switching those over. What I wanted to do is make sure I took this chance and this opportunity to blow out all those coils and make sure the radiators were in as good as condition as they could be for going back in the car. So I got the air hose on there and just give them a good blow through and a good clean as well. Okay, so what we've managed to do is swap over the rad pack to make a good one out of both. I mean, this one was already good, to be fair, but as I stated earlier, with the hybrid system on this now, the changes were that there's 2 coolers for the hybrid system. So luckily Nick's with me today, and he had the idea of just swapping the plastics over, because there's not actually a great deal of damage on the plastics. I mean, there's little bits like this, but there's nothing where it's going to stop the radiators from sort of slotting in and being in a fixed position. So that's a massive help and saved me some money, because no doubt that section with it clipping onto the back end of the rad pack, it probably won't sell that separate, and probably find it quite difficult to buy one of those second hand as well. So now the only things I need to really buy are basically these 2, but I suspect this one will be the same. So theoretically it's just going to be one of those. So actually, if you just look at the part numbers there, and you can see these radiators are exactly the same, so it's essentially just one more of these for me to buy. But yeah, job well done, and that's actually turned out to be quite a good buy, that I think. So around sort of 1200, I think it's 1300 with the delivery, and that's pretty much the front end mechanically built up now. Again, there are some slight differences on here. So horn position, pretty sure my horns were actually bolted either side of this duct, not in the centre like these are, so there may be differences on the actual wiring loom. I'll check that in a moment. Just these sections on this bit of duct work are slightly different, because on the original one I'll have basically an extra section there to cut out to allow for the 2 hoses to go through. Just looking at the air ducts now, and these are definitely different from mine, so I've just had a quick sort of Google as well. The horns, as suspected, they were definitely not in the centre. So what I've got in the centre of mine, or what's in the centre of basically the facelift version of the E-Hybrid, so the plug-in hybrid, is this louvered grille. Now it may be on all the Porsches that had the facelift, they might have done this for better economy, better heating basically when you start the engine, closing up them louvers and then obviously opening them as they're required for the cooling. But what I'm going to now need to get is this louver section, and I'm not too sure whether the actual ducts themselves are slightly different as well. So I'm going to strip this down now, attempt to basically fit the louvers into this just to see if that is possible. If not, then this actual air duct I will need to get switched around, but fingers crossed that's not going to be the case, and it'll just be a case of finding one of those. So after a little while, I have found out that these are definitely not going to fit onto the duct set that I've got for that. Not a massive issue, because it looks like it's basically a 3-section duct rather than just a single without the motorised system for the louvers. So it'll be a case of me now trying to source this motorised louver system, and then the duct basically either side of that. Getting a bit of a parts collection here now in terms of parts that have come off this or off my car that are sort of salvageable that I'll try and get rid of, and these are obviously dead parts, so these all just need chucking in the bin. But I think it's fair to say, because all this should still be able to work for me, and as I say, the rad pack itself for the car, managed to get that pretty much everything I needed, barring one single radiator for the actual coolant for the hybrid system. And then I got a new one of these as well. Didn't necessarily need it because there's nothing wrong with mine, but I've put the newer one on mine, and that just confirmed that there's no damage to the actual chassis legs themselves, so that was a bonus. Going to the wiring, so the wiring's also different. Obviously you've got the louvered motorized system on that, so there's wiring going to that. There was a little bit damage on mine, so I'm just going to have a look at soldering together these now. Luckily they are color coded, and luckily it wasn't both of the browns that split, so I've got the one brown there, so I know exactly where they need to be. So I'm going to get them soldered up now, and then my loom should be intact. One thing I did notice earlier on was I've got a little bit more damage on some of the sections, so I've got like a plug here that goes into this. Now I'm not too sure at this moment in time where that was meant to go into, so I'll try and suss that out. Everything else should be good to go, but I mean the car now is actually, even though there's more stripped off it now, it's looking in a better state than it was this morning when I started. Now when it comes to the bodywork, I've struggled actually getting parts for this, to be honest, which led me down a path of thinking, what can I actually do to make this better than what it would be originally? So I will have something coming in the future, but it's going to be potentially 2 months down the line before it arrives here. But hopefully before that comes, mechanically it'll all be back together, and it'll literally just be body panels going on then. And yeah, we'll show you that when it turns up. Other than that, that's pretty much me done for the day. As I say, I'm just going to fix this wiring loom now and put that in the correct positions on that. I might even just chuck that on just the front end here, just so it's out of the way more than anything. But yeah, other than that, that'll be me done for today. And with that, I will say thank you very much for watching. If you would, I'd love it if you could hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, really help us out. And again, thank you just for watching. Thank you for all the support, and I'll see you on the next one.